Joining us now is Mr. Raymond Vickery. He's Senior Associate, the Vadvani Chair in U.S.-India Policy from CSIS in Washington. Thank you very much, Mr. Vickery. Let me start off by asking you, what is your reading of the assassination attempt and the post facto effect of the attempt on Donald Trump? Is there a Trump bump, as people are saying? Already, even before the attempt happened last weekend, he was leading Joe Biden in many of the battleground states in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, etc. Do you see him now acquiring not just an unassailable lead, but perhaps even a larger-than-life persona?
Well, thanks very much for having me. There's no question that in the immediate aftermath, which we're still in, of the assassination attempt, there's a great deal of sympathy and rallying around the proposition that Donald Trump has to be kept safe and that nonviolence is the way to go forward. And I think the pulling of the ads by the Democratic Party was a part of that. Unfortunately, that pulling back hasn't been reciprocated. J.D. Vance last night gave a full-throated attack on the Biden administration, Biden personally. It was an isolationist speech. It threw long-term allies of the United States under the bus. It really implied that in relationships such as that between the U.S. and India, that if India didn't pay its way, that there wasn't going to be the kind of coming to the aid in the event of China crossing as happened in 1962. So, yes, there is an initial bump, but I think as we focus more on the issues, we still have some 3 months to go before the election, that's going to dissipate. Of course, there are those on the Trump side who believe that this was an act of God and that he is chosen by the Almighty. And I would say to that, unfortunately, there was a person killed and 2 wounded. Do they say the same thing about that? No, it is a situation, though, in which the MAGA Republicans will do everything they can to make Trump a larger-than-life figure, and that's unfortunate.
I suspect that, and I guess we'll get to know a little bit more when Trump speaks tomorrow morning, which is going to be later tonight in the States, when he formally accepts the Republican nomination, saying that he's going to be the Republican candidate to be president. Whether his speech is more statesmanlike and whether he thinks that this is a second coming, people are saying he's almost like Lazarus, but that's a separate matter. I want to talk to you about J.D. Vance. The fact that Vance was chosen, and obviously you'd imagine that there's a lot of interest in Vance here in India because his wife happens to be the kid of Indian immigrants. Vance is much further right of Trump when it comes to abortion, when it comes to immigration, when it comes to even geopolitical issues like the war in Ukraine, for example. Is Trump choosing Vance, or the choice of Vance is because Vance can then sort of appeal to the base, to the MAGA Republicans that, look, he's your guy in Washington, he's the guy who's stirring up the base, while Trump uses his second term in office to appear, what is almost a contradiction, which has never happened in the Trump political career so far, as almost a unifying figure, as almost like the unifier, pacifier in chief in his second term?
Well, I think that the choosing of J.D. Vance is a doubling down on the true colors of Donald Trump. And I think that the push now to try to soften the Trump image, to take away the things that he said about immigrants, about losing jobs to outsourcing, about the vermin characterization of Democrats, all of those things, there are those who are strategists for Republicans would like to see softened, of course, because the polls are still pretty close, and it's going to be the people who are at undecided that are really going to decide the election. So I think J.D. Vance and that selection is a bad sign. If Trump truly wanted to reach out, to go back to core principles that Gandhi, Martin Luther King, the great leaders of our two nations have put forward, he wouldn't be selecting a guy like Vance. There were people, others, Rubio, Begum, and who are more moderate. As you say, Vance wants a national ban on abortion. He wants to really just pull out on Ukraine. Those are disastrous kinds of policies. It's not a question just of saving Ukraine. It's a question of whether or not you appease Putin, and
Okay.
then he can go on to get other territory.
Let me get a final word in from you on the other side, on the Democrat side. Obviously, leading up to the assassination attempt last weekend, clearly the news cycle was dominated by stories about whether Joe Biden should withdraw, whether he should make way for a younger candidate. Do you see that being now tempered down in the aftermath of the assassination attempt? And more importantly, whoever this other potential Democrat candidate could be, Kamala Harris or Newsom or Whitmer, there is no evidence to suggest, no polling to suggest that they're doing any better than Biden vis-a-vis Trump.
Well, I think that's correct. And really, this is a decision that's left up to Joe Biden. One of Joe's great strengths, and I know him personally, is his ability to stick to a position even in hard times. That may or may not serve the country well at this particular juncture. I do think that there is a counter approach now supporting Joe Biden, which is taking place. But this is something that's up to the president and his family. There is a story, of course, that he's now contracted COVID.
Yep.
Yes, that's still a question, but I believe that what you're seeing is this election is boiling down to the question of Trump versus non-Trump. Do we want to go back to an isolationist era where America first is defined as not only America first, but last and always, and that the broader interest of the United States in building peace and prosperity throughout the world are just forgotten?
Okay, Raymond Vickery, is always a pleasure speaking with you, sir. Thank you very much. Raymond Vickery there giving us his expert thoughts on what exactly and how exactly this race is shaping up.